The ship was falling apart. Kira held onto the controls with 4 of her 6 limbs. Her scales were burned. Her blood was dripping onto the floor. Warning lights flashed red all around her. The ship screamed as it fell through the sky of a strange blue planet. She was of Orith. Her people were the most feared hunters in the galaxy. They had ruled 12 star systems. They had never lost a war. Other species told stories about the Velrith to scare their children. Even the bravest warriors ran when they saw a Velrith coming. But now Kira was running. And she was losing. The collective had found her. They were a group of species who had decided that the Velrith were too dangerous to live. They hunted her kind like animals. They called it justice. Kira called it murder. 3 of their ships had caught her near the edge of known space. She had fought hard. She had destroyed 2 of them. But the 3rd had hit her with a poison blade before she escaped. Now that poison was spreading through her body. It burned like fire in her veins. The planet below was small and green. Her ship's computer said it was a human colony. Kira did not know much about humans. They were a young species, weak, no claws, no armor, no venom. The galaxy mostly ignored them. She had no choice. She had to land. The ship hit the trees hard. Metal screamed. Glass broke. Kira was thrown from her seat. She crashed through the broken wall and landed in soft dirt. For a long moment, she just lay there. The sky above was blue with white clouds. Strange birds flew overhead. The air smelled like plants and water. She tried to move. Pain exploded through her body. 3 of her limbs were broken. Her left wing was shattered. The poison was making her vision blur. She was going to die here, alone, on a planet full of weak little creatures who would probably run screaming when they saw her. It was not a good death. A Velrith should die in battle, fighting enemies face to face, not bleeding out in the dirt like wounded prey. She closed her golden eyes and waited for the end. Park Do-hun was having a normal day. He woke up early, like always. He made rice and eggs for breakfast, like always. He put on his work clothes and walked to his research station, like always. Do-hun was a botanist. He studied plants. He had come to this colony world 3 years ago to research the local plant life. The planet was called New Gyeonggi, named after a region on old Earth. It was quiet, peaceful, boring, some would say. Do-hun liked boring. He had grown up in a busy city on Earth. Too many people. Too much noise. Here, he had trees and flowers and silence. He had his research. He had his small house. He was happy. He was walking through the forest to check on some samples when he heard the explosion. The sound was huge. The ground shook under his feet. Birds flew away in panic. A cloud of black smoke rose above the trees to the east. Do-hun stood very still. His heart was beating fast. He should go back to the station. He should call for help. He should let the authorities handle it. Instead, he started walking toward the smoke. He did not know why. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was something else. But his feet kept moving, and soon he was running. The crash site was a mess. Trees were broken and burning. Metal pieces were everywhere. The ship was barely recognizable anymore. It looked like something had chewed it up and spit it out. Do-hun approached slowly. His hands were shaking. He had never seen a spaceship up close before. It was clearly not human design. The metal was dark purple, almost black. Strange symbols were carved into what remained of the whole. Then he saw the creature. It was lying in the dirt about 10 meters from the ship. It was huge, at least 8 feet long. Its body was covered in dark scales that shimmered like oil. It had 6 limbs, 4 arms, and 2 legs. On its back were 2 wings, but one of them was bent at a terrible angle. Do-hun stopped breathing. He knew what this was. Everyone knew what the Velroth looked like. There were pictures in every newsfeed, every documentary about dangerous aliens. They were monsters. They were killers. They had destroyed entire planets, and one was lying right in front of him. Every part of his brain screamed at him to run. This creature could kill him with one claw. Even wounded, it was still a Velroth. Even dying, it was still the most dangerous thing on this planet, but it was also bleeding. Dark blue blood was pooling under its body. Its breathing was shallow and weak. Its golden eyes were closed. It looked small, not in size, but in the way wounded animals look small, fragile, helpless. Duhan took a step forward. The creature's eyes opened. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Human and Velroth, prey and predator, the most ordinary man in the galaxy and the most feared species in existence. Doan saw many things in those golden eyes: pain, exhaustion, fear. Great Velroth was afraid. She was waiting for him to kill her. He realized that suddenly. She expected him to find a weapon and finish her off. It was what any smart person would do. It was what the galaxy would tell him to do. Duhan was not a fighter. He was not a hero. He was just a man who studied plants. But he remembered something his grandmother told him long ago. Back on Earth, she said that kindness was not about being strong. It was about choosing to help when you did not have to. The Velroth made a low sound. It might have been a growl. It might have been a whimper. Doan knelt down in the dirt, right next to the creature that could kill him with a single swipe. "I'm going to help you," he said softly. "Please do not eat me." The Velroth blinked. Then, slowly, she closed her eyes again. Doan got to work. Kira woke up in a strange place. She was lying on something soft. A blanket, maybe. The ceiling above her was made of wood. Sunlight came through a window. The air smelled like cooked food and plants. She tried to sit up. Pain shot through her body, and she fell back down. "Do not move." The voice was soft. She turned her head and saw the small creature from before. The human. He was sitting in a chair next to her, holding a bowl of something that steamed. Kira opened her mouth to speak. Her throat was dry and painful. "Here." The human held a cup to her lips. Water. Cool and clean. She drank it all. "Where am I?" she asked. Her translator device was still working, turning her words into the human language. "My house," the human said. "My name is Park Dawn. I brought you here from the crash. It was not easy. You are very heavy." Kira looked around. The house was small and simple. There were plants everywhere. On shelves, in pots, hanging from the ceiling. Books were stacked in corners. It smelled like a garden. "Why?" she asked. The human looked confused. "Why what? Why did you save me? Why did you not kill me?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he shrugged. "You were hurt. You needed help. I am Velroth. I know. My people have killed millions. We have destroyed planets. We are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. I know. Then why?" Dawn put down the bowl. He looked at her with those strange human eyes. They were brown and soft, like mud after rain. "Because you were hurt," he said again. "That is all. You were hurt and alone. I could not just leave you there." Kira did not understand. In her world, weakness was death. If a Velroth fell in battle, their enemies finished them. That was how it worked. That was how it had always worked. This made no sense. Over the next few days, the human took care of her. He cleaned her wounds. He wrapped her broken limbs in bandages that were too small. He used his medical kit to remove the poison from her blood. It took many hours. He did not complain. He fed her. The food was strange, soft and warm. He called it soup. It did not taste like meat, but it was good. She ate 3 bowls the first time. He talked to her. He told her about his work. He studied plants. He showed her pictures of flowers and trees, explaining which ones were safe and which ones were dangerous. His voice was calm and gentle. Kira listened. She did not know why. Perhaps because she had nothing else to do. Perhaps because his voice was nice. On the 3rd day, she was strong enough to sit up. Your wing is badly damaged, Dawn said, looking at it carefully. I do not know how to fix it, but your other wounds are healing well. Kira flexed her 4 arms. 2 of them were still wrapped in bandages, but they no longer hurt as much. Her body was recovering. Valrath healed fast. How long have I been here? She asked. 5 days. 5 days. The collective could have tracked her by now. They could be on their way. She needed to leave, but when she tried to stand, her legs would not hold her. She fell, and Dohun caught her. His small hands held her up with surprising strength. You are not ready, he said firmly. You need more time. I do not have time. Enemies are coming. Then they will find you standing, not crawling. Rest. Heal. Fight later. She stared at him. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not since she was a child and her mother was still alive. You are strange, she said. He smiled. I have been told that before. On the 7th day, she asked him about humans. They were sitting outside. The sun was warm. Dohan was tending to his plants while Kira rested against a tree. Her body was almost healed now. Only her wing remained broken. Your species, she said. The galaxy says you are weak. Doan laughed. It was a nice sound. Yes, I suppose we are. No claws, no armor, no special powers. We are quite ordinary. Then how did you survive? How did you spread across so many worlds? He thought about it. I think we help each other. When one of us falls, others pick them up. We build things together. We share knowledge. We are weak alone, but together we are strong. That sounds like a fairy tale, maybe, but it got us to the stars. Kira was quiet. The Valrath way was different. They were strong alone. They did not need anyone. To need someone was weakness, but here she was, weak, alone, and this small human had saved her life. You are not what I expected, she said. Neither are you. He looked at her with those soft brown eyes. The stories say Valrath are monsters, but you have been very polite. You even said thank you when I gave you soup. Kira felt something strange. Embarrassment, maybe. I am a good guest, she said. He laughed again. That night, she told him about herself. She told him about her home world. About the great forests where a young Valrath learned to hunt. About her mother, who died fighting the collective. About her father, who disappeared when she was small. She told him about the war. How the collective had decided her people were too dangerous. How they hunted the Valrath across the galaxy. How there were fewer of them every year. We are dying, she said. The words hurt to say. Not in battle, but slowly. One by one. They will not stop until we are all gone. Doan listened. He did not interrupt. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. That is not right, he said finally. What they are doing. It is not justice. It is murder. The galaxy does not agree. Then the galaxy is wrong. She looked at him. This small, soft human. He had no claws. He had no power. He could not change anything, but he believed what he said. She could see it in his eyes. You are a fool, she said. Probably. The collective will come. When they find me here, they will kill you too. I know. And you still will not leave? He shook his head. No? Why? He smiled that gentle smile again. Because you are hurt. Because you need help. Because leaving you will be wrong. Kira felt something break inside her. Not a bone. Not a muscle. Something deeper. Something she had protected for a long time. In Velrith culture, there was a word. Vethkai. It meant a bond between souls. A connection so deep the two people became one pack. It was the highest honor. It took decades to form, but looking at this human, this foolish, kind, impossible human, Kira felt it anyway. You are pack, she whispered. Doan did not understand the word, but he understood the meaning. So are you, he said. The warning came on the 15th day. Kira's broken equipment still worked a little. The scanner was damaged, but it could still detect ships entering the system. And that morning, it started beeping. 3 ships. Collective design. Coming fast. She stared at the screen for a long time. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear. From anger. They had found her. Doan came in from the garden. He saw her face and knew something was wrong. What is it? He asked. They are here. The collective. 3 ships. They will reach the planet in 2 days. His face went pale. But he did not panic. He just nodded slowly. What do we do? Kira stood up. Her body was mostly healed now. Her limbs were strong again. Only her wing was still broken, hanging at an awkward angle. She could not fly, but she could fight. You need to leave, she said. Get to your shuttle. Go to another colony. Do not look back. No. This is not a discussion. They are coming for me. If you stay, they will kill you. Then we fight together. She grabbed him by the shoulders. Her claws left small marks on his shirt. Listen to me. You are one human. They are trained killers. Dozens of them. They have weapons that can melt rock. You cannot fight them. Neither can you. Not alone. Not with a broken wing. I am Velrith. Fighting is what I was born to do, and I am your pack. He looked up at her with those stubborn human eyes. You said so yourself. Pack does not abandon pack. Kira wanted to scream. She wanted to shake him until he understood. He was throwing his life away for nothing. But deep down, she knew she would do the same. If their positions were reversed, she would not leave him either. You are impossible, she said. So I have been told. They spent the next day preparing. Kira was surprised by Dawn. He was not a fighter, but he was smart. Very smart. He knew this forest better than anyone. He had spent years studying it. These plants, he said, pointing to a map he had drawn. They are carnivorous. They eat small animals. If something heavy steps on them, they spray acid. That could slow them down. And here, he pointed to another area. There is a nest of insects. Very territorial. Very aggressive. If we disturb them at the right time, they will attack anything nearby. Kira stared at him. You want to use the forest as a weapon. Everything here is dangerous if you know how to use it. I have been studying these things for 3 years. I know every poison plant, every predator territory, every unstable cliff. You are a botanist. Yes, he smiled grimly. And right now, that makes me the most dangerous human on this planet. They worked through the night. Duhan set traps all through the forest. He buried sonic emitters near the insect nest. He marked safe paths that only they would know. He collected samples of toxic plants and put them in containers. Kira watched him work. She helped where she could. But mostly she watched. This was not the weak human the galaxy talked about. This was something else. Something determined. Something stubborn and brave and completely unwilling to give up. How do you do it? She asked as dawn approached. Do what? Stay calm. You should be terrified. He paused. His hands were dirty from digging. His face was tired. "I am terrified," he admitted. "My hands have been shaking all night. My stomach feels like ice, but you keep working, because stopping will not help. Fear is just a feeling. It tells me I care about something. It does not get to make my decisions." Kira thought about that. Volrath were taught to ignore fear, to push it down, crush it, pretend it did not exist. But Dawn did something different. He felt the fear. He accepted it. And then he kept going anyway. Maybe that was braver. The ships arrived the next morning. Kira watched them descend from a hill overlooking the valley. 3 dropships. They landed in a clearing about 2 kilometers from Dawn's house. Soldiers poured out. She counted 40, maybe 50. They were from different species. Some had scales like her. Some had fur. Some had too many eyes. The collective was an alliance of many kinds, all united by one thing. They all wanted the Velrith dead. The commander stepped out last. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes. A Krellian. They were known for their cruelty. "Spread out," the commander ordered. "Find the Velrith. Kill anything that helps her." The soldiers moved into the forest. Kira smiled. "They are coming," she said to Dawn through the small communication device he had given her. "I see them. 20 soldiers moving through Sector 3. That is where you put the acid plants." Yes, there was a pause. Then, in the distance, screaming. Not anymore. The first wave of soldiers died in minutes. They walked into the acid plants. The poison burned through their armor. They ran in panic straight into the territory of the forest predators. The local wildlife did not care about galactic politics. They just saw food. The commander pulled his remaining soldiers back, reorganized, sent them in again, more carefully this time. Dohan activated the sonic emitters. The insect nest exploded with activity. Thousands of flying creatures, each one as big as a human hand, with stingers that could pierce metal. They descended on the second wave like a living cloud. More screaming. More chaos. And through it all, Kira hunted. She moved through the forest like a shadow. She could not fly, but she could climb. She could hide. She could strike from the darkness and disappear before anyone could react. One soldier wandered too far from his group. Kira dropped from a tree and broke his neck before he could scream. 2 more got lost in the confusion. She found them trying to call for help. They did not get the chance. The forest became a nightmare. For the collective, not for her. But there were still too many. And the commander was not stupid. "Fall back to the clearing," he ordered. "Burn the forest. Burn everything." Kira heard the order through a stolen communicator. Her blood went cold. "Dawn," she called. "They are going to burn it. You need to get out." "I know. I am on my way to your position." "No. Go to the shuttle. Get off the planet. I am not leaving without you." "Dawn, I am your pack, remember? Now stop arguing and tell me where you are." She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to wrap her arms around this impossible human and never let go. Instead, she gave him her location. If they were going to die, they would die together. The forest burned behind them. Kira could see the flames spreading through the trees. The smoke rose into the sky like a black mountain. Everything Dohan had built, everything he had studied, was being destroyed. But he did not look back. He just kept moving. They had retreated to a rocky area near the edge of the forest. Cliffs and caves. Hard ground where the fire could not follow. It was also the place where Kira had crashed 2 weeks ago. "How many are left?" Dohan asked. He was breathing hard. There was a cut on his forehead and dirt on his clothes. 20. Maybe less. Kira listened carefully. She could hear them coming. The collective soldiers were not hiding anymore. They were angry. They wanted revenge. That is still too many. Yes, they looked at each other. Both of them knew the truth. This was probably the end. Du-Han reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. A plasma cutter. He used it for cutting through thick plants. It was not meant to be a weapon. "This is all I have," he said. Kira felt her heart break a little. This tiny human. This foolish, brave, wonderful human. He was going to fight an army with a gardening tool. "Stay behind me," she said. "When they come, I will." "No. Dawn, I am not hiding behind you. We fight together or not at all." She wanted to argue, but there was no time. The first soldiers appeared through the smoke. The battle was chaos. Kira fought like she had never fought before. Her broken wing dragged behind her, but she did not care. She used her claws, her teeth, her tail. She threw rocks. She used fallen branches as clubs. Two soldiers came at her from the left. She killed the first with a claw through his throat. The second raised his weapon. Before he could fire, something hit him in the face, a container of acid. Thrown by Dawn, the soldier screamed and dropped his gun. Kira finished him quickly. More came. And more. They were surrounded now. Back to back. Human and Velrith. Prey and predator. Pack. Du-Han fought with everything he had. He was not strong. He was not fast. But he was clever. He threw dirt in their eyes. He tripped them with rocks. He used his plasma cutter to burn anyone who got too close. He was also getting hurt. Kira saw him take a hit to the shoulder. He stumbled, but did not fall. She saw another soldier kick him in the ribs. He went down, rolled, and came back up with a rock in his hand. "Stay down." She roared at the soldiers. "Leave him alone." They did not listen. Why would they? He was just a human. Just a weak little creature who should have run away. But he did not run. He kept fighting. Even bleeding. Even hurting. Even knowing he was going to lose. Because that was what humans did. The commander finally appeared. He walked through the battle like he was taking a stroll. The gray-skinned Krellian watched his soldiers die and did not seem to care. His black eyes were fixed on Kira. "Impressive," he said. "I did not expect this much trouble from one wounded Velrith and a human pet." "He's not my pet," Kira growled. "No? Then what is he?" "He is my pack." The commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Pack, you bond with prey now. How far your species has fallen. No wonder we are winning." He raised his weapon. Not at Kira, at Dawn. "Let me show you what we do to prey." Kira moved. She did not think. She did not plan. She just threw herself between the commander and the human she loved. The blast hit her in the chest. Pain. Incredible pain. Like fire and ice and lightning all at once. She fell to her knees. Her vision went dark at the edges. "Kira." Dawn's voice. Far away, scared. The commander stood over her. His weapon was still smoking. "Pathetic," he said. "The great Velrith. Dying for a human. Your ancestors would be ashamed." Kira looked up at him. Blood was dripping from her mouth. Her chest was burning. But she smiled. "My ancestors taught me something," she said. "What?" "Never stop fighting until you are dead." She grabbed his ankle with one clawed hand. Pulled. He fell. Before he could react, she was on top of him. Her other 3 arms held him down. Her claws pressed against his throat. "You lose," she whispered. Then she ripped out his throat. Silence. The remaining soldiers stared. Their commander was dead. The Velrith who killed him was barely standing. But she was standing. One by one, they lowered their weapons. "Go," Kira said. Her voice was weak. "Go and tell the collective what happened here. Tell them a human stood against you. Tell them pack does not break. They ran. Kira watched them go. Then her legs gave out. She fell, but she never hit the ground. Small arms caught her, held her up. I have you, Dawn said. His face was bloody. Tears were streaming down his cheeks. I have you. Stay with me. Did we win? She asked. Yes, we won. Now stay awake. Help is coming. I sent a signal. Help from who? He did not answer. He was too busy crying. Kira smiled. She reached up with one shaking hand and touched his face. His skin was so soft, so warm. Thank you, she said, for everything. Do not thank me yet. You are not dying. I forbid it. You cannot forbid death. Watch me. She laughed. It hurt, but she laughed anyway. Then everything went dark. Kira woke up in a medical bay. The ceiling was metal. The air smelled clean and sterile. Machines beeped around her, but these were not human machines. The symbols on the walls were familiar. Velrith symbols. She tried to sit up. Pain flared in her chest, but it was manageable. Much better than before. She looked down and saw bandages covering her wounds. Professional medical care. Real healing equipment. You are awake. The voice was deep and rough. Kira turned her head and saw a massive Velrith standing in the doorway. He was old, scarred. One of his eyes was missing, replaced by a metal implant. She knew him. I, Commander Turan, she breathed. Kira of the Third Fleet. He walked closer. His footsteps were heavy. Or should I say, Kira the Dead? We thought the collective killed you 3 weeks ago. They tried, so I heard. He pulled up a chair and sat down. Even sitting, he was huge. I also heard something impossible. A human saved you, hid you, fought beside you. Kira felt her heart speed up. Where is he? Where is Doan? The human is safe. He is in another room, being treated for his injuries. He refused to leave your side until we promised not to harm you. She did not know what to say. Turan leaned forward. His one eye studied her carefully. Explain, he said. Everything. So she did. She told him about the crash. About waking up to find a small human trying to help her. About the soup and the bandages and the conversations late at night. About the collective arriving and Doan refusing to run. She told him about the battle. The traps. The insects. The fire. The final fight where a botanist stood against trained killers with nothing but a plasma cutter and courage. She told him about throwing herself in front of the commander's weapon. About killing him with broken limbs and a burned chest. And she told him about Vethkai. Turan was silent for a long time. You bonded with a human, he said finally. A prey species. Yes, this is unprecedented. I know. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars stretched across the darkness. They were in space now on a Velrith warship. The collective is furious, Turan said. They lost 50 soldiers and a commander. To one wounded Velrith and a gardener. They are calling it a disgrace. It was. For them. He turned back to face her. For us, it is something else. A story. A legend, perhaps. I do not want to be a legend. Too late. A small smile crossed his scarred face. The news is spreading. Other species are talking. They are asking questions. How did a human do this? What are humans really capable of? Kira thought about Doan, his gentle hands, his stubborn courage, his refusal to give up even when everything was lost. Humans are not what we thought, she said. They are not weak. They are just different. Their strength comes from somewhere else. Where? From each other. From refusing to abandon the people they care about. From standing up when falling down would be easier. Turan nodded slowly. The Galactic Council wants to speak with your human. They want to know what happened. What will you tell them? The truth. He walked toward the door. That the Velrith have found something rare. Something worth protecting. What? He stopped at the door and looked back. An ally. The hearing was 3 days later. The Galactic Council was made up of 12 species. They met in a massive hall on a neutral space station. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered rows, watching. Kira stood before them with Dohon at her side. He looked small in this place, nervous. His hands were shaking. She took one of those hands in hers. He looked up at her and smiled. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For being here. For being you." A council member spoke. She was from a species Kira did not recognize. Blue skin, 4 arms, a face that was hard to read. "We have reviewed the evidence," the council member said. "The battle, the survivors' testimony, the recordings." Recordings. Kira had not known there were recordings. "What we have seen is unexpected." The council member looked at Dohon. "You are a botanist, correct? A scientist?" "Yes," Dohon said. His voice was quiet but steady. "You have no combat training, no military experience, no augmentation, no. And yet you stood against 50 collective soldiers. You fought beside a Velrith. You refused to leave her even when running would have saved your life." "Yes. Why?" Dohon was quiet for a moment. Everyone waited. "Because she was hurt," he said finally. "Because she needed help. Because leaving her would have been wrong." The hall was silent. "That is all?" The council member asked. "That is everything." More silence. Then, slowly murmuring began. The representatives were talking to each other, arguing, debating. Kira watched them. These were the species that had ignored the collective's genocide, that had watched her people die and done nothing. She expected nothing from them now. But then the Velrith representative stood. It was Toran. "I speak for the Velrith Dominion," he said. His voice echoed through the hall. "We have seen what happened on New Jiangdi. We have heard the testimony. And we have made a decision." He looked at Dohon. "This human showed courage that most warriors never achieve. He showed loyalty that we thought was unique to our kind. He stood beside one of us, bled beside one of us, and fought beside one of us." Turan raised his clawed hand. "The Velrith Dominion hereby declares humanity to be worthy of alliance. Not as subjects, not as vassals, as equals, as pack." The hall exploded with noise. Some species cheered. Some shouted in protest. Some sat in stunned silence. But Kira did not care about any of them. She looked at Dohon. He was crying again. Humans did that a lot, she had learned. "Pack," she said. "Pack," he agreed. The galaxy changed that day. The alliance between the Velrith and humanity spread quickly. Humans were no longer ignored. They were no longer considered weak. The story of New Jiangdi traveled to every corner of known space. A botanist. A wounded predator. A bond that should have been impossible. And a warning that every species began to whisper. Do not threaten humans. Do not harm what they love. Because if one human gardener can do this, what happens when they all fight together? 6 months later, Kira returned to New Jiangdi. The forest was growing back. Plants always did that, Doan had told her. They were stubborn. They refused to stay dead. She found him in his rebuilt house. He was cooking soup. The smell filled the small rooms and made her feel warm inside. "You came back," he said. "I promised." He smiled. That gentle, kind smile that had saved her life. "Welcome home," he said. Kira looked around the small house. The plants. The books. The simple life that this strange human had built. Home. Yes, that was exactly what it was. She sat down at the table. He put a bowl of soup in front of her. They ate together in comfortable silence. Outside, the stars were shining. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing. Old enemies were becoming friends. Old fears were fading away. But here, in this little house on this little planet, none of that mattered. What mattered was this. A wounded predator had found a human dot, and together, they had shocked the galaxy.